Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, chat, welcome back. If this is the first time seeing me on your YouTube page, go ahead and slap the motherfucking shit out yourself, because you should have been on about me earlier. Real talk. The horror film so real, the FBI investigated it? Come on, chat. I'm not going to waste no more of y'all time, bro. Let's get straight on into it. Come on now.
You know, in the 80s, I was obsessed with tracking down weird videos. Just weird
VHS
videos
trading.
and
There we
weird
go.
films we had seen.
Yes,
and
sir.
one of the films that came to me was a movie called Guinea Pig.
I have never
And
seen
I
this film.
promptly made a copy
probably
of it,
won't if
and
it-
the FBI
Depending on
said,
what this video
"You
tells,
need
bro,
to
I
hand
probably
over the
won't watch
original
that
tape."
movie, bro.
That is Chris Gore, and the tape he's talking about contained a copy of a Japanese horror film from 1985. Back then, as the founder of the infamous Film Thread magazine, he was always on the lookout for the most obscure movies he could possibly find. And the way to do that was to tap into the somewhat underground world of VHS tape trading.
We were trading tapes with so many people, and then the thing is they would send me their weird tapes. That's how we did all of this.
Yeah.
Those tapes would often contain unauthorized copies of movies from all around the world that were either extremely difficult to find or straight up banned in some countries. The kind of stuff you couldn't
That's
just
crazy.
find in your local Blockbuster.
Yeah,
and
no.
while
You
the
ain't gonna
majority
find
of the
none of this.
movies
What
were
the
just
fuck?
strange or bizarre, one of them felt different.
Is this a scene from it? Is this a scene from it?
There was no music,
Oh god, there's
no
a
more
scene
than
from
a
it.
basic title graphic, and not even the standard practice of opening credits. It almost felt like someone's private home video of a man observing strangers in front of a train station in Tokyo until he eventually sees a young lady and proceeds to stalk her, slowly driving his car behind her, and as soon as they get far away from the busy streets of the city, he chases her down and abducts her. The rest of the movie takes place in some creepy makeshift slaughterhouse,
Goddamn.
and since I cannot possibly show you what happens next,
What the fuck?
instead, I'll give you some context with, let's just say, dramatic reenactment.
Dramatic reenactment. Oh god. So you pretty much like severed the head, decapitated the arms and everything, and started eating?
Yeah, all of that happens, and it is shown in great detail with
What?
very intricate
When
quotes.
you hate gore but gotta do the
right in your
research?
face. The point is, it looked real.
Oh,
so much
God.
so that people weren't entirely sure if it was actually fiction or something far more sinister.
Yeah,
and one of
nah.
those people was no other than the actor Charlie Sheen. There are a few different accounts
Charlie
of
Sheen!
exactly
Shout
how
out
it happened,
Charlie Sheen!
but what we know for a fact is that Charlie Sheen saw this movie, and because of him, the FBI got involved.
Damn.
Well, what happened was they took it very seriously. I'm like, I had all these videos confiscated. I had to be interviewed by the FBI about this video and where I obtained it. The guy who gave me the video got investigated. And
Right.
It was weird. All I did was just make a copy of a tape and give it to Charlie Sheen.
They
God
weren't
damn.
the only ones either. Around the same time, a lawyer in Sweden had found that exact same movie and had also reported it to the police. And over in Britain, a man entering the country with a copy of it had gotten arrested and taken to court because of its possession. Clearly, everyone took this extremely
Yeah, nah,
seriously.
for real,
And
bro.
looking back at it now, you might think it's a little bit silly, right? I mean, supposedly it's just a movie. But the thing is that those concerns were not entirely unwarranted.
Right.
In his 1971 book about Charles Manson, author Ed Sanders included an interview with a member of his cult who claimed that they had once videotaped a murder they've committed. It is one of the first uses of the term snuff film, or basically a movie which shows real violence. And while no
snuff film.
such video
Ugh.
involving Charles Manson had ever been found, the urban legends began to spread.
Okay.
With consumer cameras becoming more widely available back in the 70s, people began to speculate that the possibility of someone capturing the real stuff was constantly increasing.
Yeah.
And in 1976, after reading an article about it, a marketing savvy film producer took advantage. he filmed a completely new ending to an unreleased low-budget movie he had the rights to, and in order to promote it, he hired fake protesters to demonstrate against it in theaters, and even reported it to the police himself.
Okay.
As soon as they saw it, people could easily tell it wasn't real. But it did make a profit, and more importantly, it brought the idea of snuff into the mainstream.
Okay.
Now, that one was clearly a hoax,
snuff movies,
but many of the other films that
using
followed
that reference
continued
now,
to
bro,
push the
I don't know
limits
if I can really
and
watch
blur the
snuff
lines.
movies. I mean, I've
In
watched Terrifier, and that's as
1978,
close as snuff as it could get, you know what I'm
Faces
saying?
of Death
Pretty
had
much,
featured
in this
a
day and
bunch of
age type
different
of movie,
ways
you
to
know,
die.
you
And
gotta go
while
really
the
look at
majority
those
of
indie
those
movies
were
if you wanna
achieved
find the
with
real
practical
snuff.
effects and makeup, there were some real ones too, that the filmmakers had taken from news archives and old war footage. Although it got banned in a number of countries and heavily censored, it grossed over $35 million.
God
and
damn.
in some cases, it
Even
showed
for
people
being, like-
real death on the big screen.
Taking off, bro?
The end of the
Blacklisted?
beginning
That's crazy.
or the beginning of the end. I'll leave that decision to you.
Real gore and extreme graphic images were becoming a big debate in society, but the ethics of it were not necessarily the main concern for the authorities.
Right.
For them, it was crucial to know about how that footage was obtained. Because going back to Guinea Pig, the movie that Charlie Sheen had reported, it didn't just show a natural disaster or unfortunate accident,
Right.
but a very premeditated and vicious crime.
Charlie was so shocked upon watching this film. He was so taken aback, he thought he had witnessed an actual murder.
By the time the FBI got involved, they quickly found out that the authorities in Japan had also investigated. Because a few years after its release, it got connected to a murder case that had completely shaken the country.
God
In the late
damn,
80s,
no
a
way.
27-year-old man had taken the lives of 4 young girls in Tokyo
What?
in a way that
Nah.
I don't want to describe. The police had found almost 6,000 videotapes
What
in
the
this room,
fuck?
and among the many slasher and snuff films was Guinea Pig. Because of how brutal his crimes were, there was a huge public outrage, and many blamed this kind of movies for encouraging and inspiring him.
Nah,
and as
for
a
real.
result, the movie was taken off the shelves. So with all the controversy surrounding it and multiple investigations from all around the world,
That is
the
fucking
main
crazy,
question
bro.
remains,
Holy fuck.
was it snuff or fiction?
All this hellish, unhealthy, violent activity, our kids are seeing this and thinking it's normal.
Nah, he's not
To
lying.
find the answer,
That
we
man
need to
was
go
ahead
back
of his
to
time, bro.
1985.
Ahead of his time.
Around that time in Japan, the straight
damn.
video market had experienced a rapid growth. As a result of the increased popularity of VHS tapes that people could just buy directly, smaller filmmakers were able to produce low-budget movies with almost no censorship and significantly less restrictions compared to theatrical releases.
Hell no.
That allowed directors to push the boundaries a lot.
Yeah.
And considering that horror as a genre was already huge in Japan, they certainly did. So, inspired by all this, a young producer would set on to create something that would push the envelope even further. And just like that, the Guinea Pig series was born. The first
Okay.
one, Devil's Experiment, he directed himself, and a text in the beginning claimed that it is a real found footage. There were no credits, no title, and nothing that would break the illusion. All that was shown was basically someone being tortured for 40 minutes straight.
God
and
damn.
the whole shtick about it being authentic worked. The movie did really well on the VHS rental
God
market,
damn.
so naturally,
Oh
it was
my
time for
God.
part 2, the one that Charlie Sheen had seen. Flower of Flesh and Blood.
Flower of
For
Flesh
this
and
one,
Blood.
however, he got the help of the prominent manga artist Hideshi Hino. Sometimes referred to as the king of horror manga, Hideshi Hino had built a reputation for his deeply unsettling, grotesque, and borderline terrifying images.
For
This
real.
was going to be his very first movie as a director, an entirely new creative medium to him that he wanted to bring a certain level of artistry to. He wanted to elevate it, so instead of it just being straight up gore, he incorporated a tiny bit of narrative. Something that might have gotten lost in translation, because in the very beginning, he lays out the premise that a crazy fan of his horror manga had gotten inspired from it and committed this heinous crime, and had sent him a package with photos, videos, and a letter describing it in great detail. But
God
it was
damn.
so graphic that he couldn't show it to us. So instead, what we're seeing is his own artistic interpretation. You can feel that there is a style in some of the editing, the colors, the cinematography, and even down to the over-the-top sound effects.
その後に何か見た人がだからただそれだけじゃない
God
それ
damn.
と先のね
This was revolutionary directing right here, bro. What the fuck did I click on?
面白いんじゃないかな
God damn, chat.
As opposed to everyone else, Hideshi Hino had never claimed that what was shown was real, but he had done such a good job at making it look
Goddamn.
convincing that to some people, it was. A year later, the filmmakers released some behind-the-scenes footage and showed exactly how it was done.
Okay.
They've experimented with different techniques, materials, wire work, practical effects, and have created over 50 different body parts until they got it just right. It is genuinely a really good showcase of
for
practical
real.
effects, if you're into that kind of stuff, of course. The backlash surrounding it, though, had permanent consequences. In a 2009 interview with Vice, Hideshi Hino shared that because of everything that had happened, the production of his first feature film got cancelled and it also affected his work as an artist.
Damn.
After talking to the police, he also claimed that what they had found in the serial killer's collection was not his, but a later installment in the Guinea Pig series.
Okay.
In the same interview with Vice, Hideshi Hino recalls a time in which a journalist asked a film critic if this sort of video is really necessary in the world, to which he replied,
No, absolutely not.
not.
Damn.
And it got me thinking. As I was researching the story, I kept asking myself, what is it exactly that draws us into this kind of extreme horror?
It's
On
that
one hand,
adrenaline,
you have
dog.
people who
The
are very
adrenaline
much
of the
against
what
it
ifs.
because
Like,
they
you never
argue
really
that
get the
it could give us the wrong
experience,
ideas.
dog.
And there are some cases that
it's
support that claim. Remember Faces of Death, the pseudo-documentary that showed people dying?
Nope.
Well, in 1986, a 14-year-old boy killed his classmate and claimed that he got the idea for it precisely because he saw that movie.
That
Whether
is
that is
crazy.
an isolated case or a real issue, I'm not smart enough to say. I'm sure someone will have a better answer than me.
Nah,
We
most
don't know
def, bro.
the
They
extent to
definitely
which
went in and did their
exposure
research
to
on
this
that
kind
one,
of
bro.
material
I don't know what you
results
could
in
say for
actual
that.
violent behavior. What
Hell
we do
no.
know is that exposure to this kind of material results in a more calloused person,
Yes.
a less sensitive
Very
person.
fucking
And on
much,
the other
bro.
hand,
That's how
people
Jeffrey
can
Dahmer
argue
was
that
born,
it's
bro.
morbid curiosity.
They know it's entertainment. They know it's special effects. They get together. They have little parties. They watch these movies. They have a good time. I don't think they're really seeing the undercurrents that a lot of paranoid parents are seeing. If the
Nah,
world be a
for
better
real.
place because there weren't horror films, so there weren't explicit stalk and slash films, and the world would be at peace, well, then burn all the negatives of every horror film ever made, if that's going to be kind of a guarantee, but it isn't.
It is us
Right.
facing our own mortality. And to bring it full circle, here's a quote from Film Threat, the magazine from the beginning that sort of started
Okay.
this whole story, which
What's their
says
quote?
that it somehow makes us feel alive. We like feeling alive, and we like to feel like we're cheating death by watching movies like that.
Chat, he was not fucking lying. I'll catch y'all boys in the next one. I love y'all. Y'all stay tuned. Doses.